All right, everybody, I am back. So last week I said I was going to try something new and experiment with a vlog, sort of like a video recap of my blog post. So I'm a little bit behind, so I'm going to try to do two posts this week. But I want to go back to a post from the week before, and it really was about how to make better decisions. And really, I think there's two considerations that we need to think about. And I go back to when I was a principal during my early years. And after the little blue bird started chirping in my ear, I was really motivated to try new ways to engage with our families. And on this particular day, I had learned about a tool. It was similar to like School Messenger. It was a communications tool that I was gonna mandate with my teachers to better engage with our families and in turn build more powerful relationships. So I came into my faculty meeting and I was pumped. I was so excited. I was convinced that this was a slam dunk decision, that my teachers were going to embrace it, that it was going to be awesome. And I presented the idea and how we are going to use it. And much to my surprise, my staff did not share my enthusiasm for the tool. Maybe it was the mandating part. Maybe it was the tool itself. Now, this was going back to like 2010, 2011, so it wasn't as mainstream back then. So, the first consideration is I was going in this meeting saying, you know what, I am going to do it. There's no doubt in my mind. But I was a little taken back, and I made the time to listen. And I didn't respond. I didn't tell my teachers, well, we're going to do this, and we're going to go forward. It's really going to help us. And this was something that was very difficult for me, is just listening and not responding. I had to listen, not to react, but listen to understand. That's consideration number one. Do we actually listen to understand? But listening to understand only matters if we do step number two, the second consideration, which is reflect. So that evening, I really reflected on the pros and cons, and I really thought, well, you know what, is this going to really benefit my teachers? If I don't have the majority on board, regardless of what I do, it's not going to lead to the results that we wanted. So that second consideration, reflection, helped me make my decision, and we did not go forward. I think of another case where I used these two considerations was when I was working with my teacher leaders on developing their own personal learning networks. And again, it was something that I was very, very passionate about. So after discussing it at the meeting, my teacher's like, yeah, you know what, Eric, this is a great idea, but we don't have time. So again, the first consideration, I listened to understand. Why don't you have time? What are some suggestions that we could do to integrate time into the school day? And there wasn't much ideas on that. So I think the feeling was, you know what, this decision is just going to go by the wayside. Eric's not going to follow up. So I listened, and then I reflected again, consideration number two. And as I reflected, I was so passionate about this. I'm like, you know what, I got to find a way to make it work. And I looked at our teacher contract, which for a principal was my best friend. It told me what I really could and could not do. So as I looked at the teacher's contract, I saw that all of my teachers, they had a non-instructional duty, hall duty, cafeteria duty, in-school suspension duty. And I'm like, you know what? Our culture is getting better. I don't need all of my teachers on duty every single day in the high school. A better use of their time would be to free them up so they could learn about anything they wanted. And this is when I listened, reflected, and decided to create the professional growth period. This was a hybrid model between the old Google 80-20 model and Genius Hour, which is what I did for my teachers. I decided that, I was going to free up all my teachers in lieu of a duty, in lieu of one duty period a week. I was going to free up my teachers 2 to 3 periods per week, depending on the semester. So we called it the professional growth period. And that decision led to my teachers having innovation time, where they had time embedded in the school day, depending how many days depended on the semester. But that's when a lot of my teachers began to become innovative and do amazing work, is not only deciding to give them time, but letting them create a portfolio to share and celebrate all their success. And we integrated those portfolios into their end-of-the-year evaluations to show actual growth in innovative practices and how it was connected to learning outcomes. So, in lieu of the duties, just so you know, we gave my teachers that time, but it was myself and my admin team that picked up the slack. So we went in and we assumed the duties for our teachers. So the decision kind of had a indirect impact on us in terms of relationship building. We were doing hall duty. We were doing cafeteria duty. We were doing in-school suspension duty when we had that. And our kids saw us more every day. We had more conversations with kids. We were present. We were in the halls. That visibility was so important. And our teachers actually saw that we were willing to give up time to get in the classroom. So, get into the common spaces so that our teachers could learn. So, again, when we think about the decisions that we make, depending on our position, whether we're making decisions as teachers, as administrators, as organizational leaders, leadership by action requires us to make decisions that might not be popular, that we may have to make spur at the moment. But for many decisions, making a rash judgment doesn't really do much for culture, and it can actually have a negative impact on what we're trying to accomplish. So as we think about the decisions that we make, sometimes pausing to reflect and really listen to understand. And I think that is sort of a silent leadership characteristic, is when we actually listen to understand. That really does help build better relationships, whether it be with our students, our staff, our parents. So, think about the next time, or think about some decisions that you've made, and, whether they went wrong or right, because I made so many wrong decisions, but it was this point in time that actually helped me learn to not only be a better listener, but to actually take the time to reflect and really think about the impact that the decision was going to have on my staff or students. So this is my vlog recap for this week. Again, I'm still experimenting with mediums, but Periscope, I just like the live, uncut, unfiltered version. So I will try to go back through and look at your comments. And feel free to reach out to me on Twitter if you have any specific follow-up questions. But thanks for joining, and keep making a difference in the lives of kids. Thanks for joining, everybody.